Many reasons. So we don't do it just to torture you. We do it because lab experience teaches you how to think critically, right? It teaches you how to set something up and complete a project. Right? It shows that you're reliable, dependable, and productive. All these are really important features for somebody that wants to be a doctor or wants to be a scientist. So having a lab experience and being able to talk about that lab experience and being able to start an experiment and finish it to completion, as well as being part of a team, is critical. These are all amazing skills. So getting being in a lab shows us so much about you. It's also a lot of fun, but importantly, it shows a lot of great skills. So how do you find the right fit? Right? That was the question that I was just asked in the chat. So it's a great question. And a little bit of it is research and persistence, and a little bit of it is luck, and a lot of it is there's going to be a lot of good fits for you. So please don't sweat the small stuff and take the experience you have and then make the most of it. But let's talk through a few things. So I want you to think about your interests, right? So think again, as you're you guys love neuroscience. That makes me so happy. So, great. So, you're going to take everything that you can, any news that you have about neuroscience labs, and you're going to look through them and say, huh, this sounds super interesting. You're going to go to the websites, right, at the School of Medicine, say, what kind of research are people doing, right? Oh, that looks pretty cool. I should send an email. Word of mouth. Right. So people that we have some upperclassmen on this talk, but some of the lower classmen, talk to your upperclassmen. What labs did they like? Who did they like working with? Who they heard good things about and that are doing cool projects? Word of mouth can be really great. I already talked about just exploring the department websites online. They can be a nice resource. Earlier this month, we had a neurosciences round robin with Dr. Tragasar. I think it is still up for record. There was about 10 faculty that presented their research just to taste, but then we also sent out paragraphs with contact information for others. So again, great ways to kind of look and see what's out there. You should absolutely feel free to interview with several people, with the caveat being, please make sure that when you're talking to them about their lab and about your interest in their lab, and not saying, well, I'm going to be interviewing with 5 people, so I can make, right? Like you're still treating them like they're the one that you want, right? You're interested in what they're doing. That's really cool. Play up on that, right? On your genuine interest and curiosity. But it's fine ultimately to talk to several people and try to get the right fit. You just don't need to publicize that kind of all. I've had students ask me both ways. Should I tell them that I'm interviewing with 6 labs? And I'm like, well, why don't you just show the interest that you truly have for their lab and then see where that takes you? And it might be very clear that this is the lab for you, right? And that you're going to move forward with that. When you're talking with them and you're talking to the potential PI for a lab, you really want to understand the expectations in the lab, right? That's going to be really important in knowing whether it's a good fit for you. And by expectations, I mean not only the time that you have to commit. So, for example, my lab takes into account my clinic. So I do a lot of clinical research where we test patients. You got to be in clinic to do that. Clinics are Wednesday and Friday mornings. You can be the best student ever, and if you have class Wednesday and Friday mornings, it's just not going to work this year. That's okay. But those expectations are really important, as well as then what's the role for you in the lab? So, am I going to have you testing patients and doing that kind of work? Or am I going to have you, I don't know, pulling data from the computer? One may speak to you more than others. What's that look like? And how might you grow over time? In my lab, you actually do both. You start out learning about data, right, and how to pull data, and then you start to see patients, and then you start to get more active with patients. So for many labs, there'll be a growth phase. Same thing in basic science, right? You have to learn a technique. How does that work? And then how do you gradually have more autonomy? Full disclosure is really important. So again, I know you're super excited, but think critically about what you're able to put into the lab. What does your time commitment look like? What does that? Because the last thing that you want to do is say that you can do something and sign on the dotted line, right? Figuratively, and then not come through, right? You want to make sure that you are committing to something and that you're setting the world on fire with it. You want a letter from your PI that says, "Oh my gosh, Eli did a tremendous job. I cannot believe it. Like he came and worked in my lab and gosh, like we designed a study and I watched him do all these wonderful things and to grow and he's going to be a fantastic doctor." Right? That's what it's more fun that way. And it's really good for you and for your career. Um, Most of the time when you interview with your PI, you might also be interviewing with lab members because they're going to be the people that you're with, right? I care very deeply what my lab members think about each person because we're kind of a family. We are together a lot and we do a lot of projects as teams, right? I need people that they can work with and that they want to, see on campus. They see each other where you guys are right now on campus, and they go to lunch by choice, right? Not just because they're members of the lab, because now they're friends. That's really important to me. So you'll often get to interview with lab members, but you should be asking them what it's like to be in the lab. Is the lab have a good culture? Some labs are toxic. That's true. It doesn't matter where you go. It's not a Hopkins thing. It just happens. What is the culture of the lab? Is it collaborative? Is it competitive? Is it supportive? What is that like? It's great to be able to ask lab members so that you can figure that out. And then thinking about potential barriers. So it's true, right? You guys are at the undergrad campus. You have to take the shuttle. I guess you could take a lift or drive yourselves, but you have to think about transportation and you have to think about class. I do want you to go to class, right? It's wonderful that a lot of them are recorded, but a lot of them also need to be in person, right? So thinking about how that works and what those commitments look like. So you need to be honest and think about the potential barriers as you're getting to know what the lab looks like. So both the things it's studying, what the culture is, what the expectations are, and then thinking about what you're able to give. All those are incredibly important as you're thinking about the right fit. So let's say that you have done all those things. You have found the lab um, that you think you want. So what do you need to do to begin? So first, you want to inform yourself, right? You want to read about prior work. Like I was saying, you want to talk to other lab members. Many people now these days have websites, and ask them. Again, sometimes people will say, "Hey, is there a paper that I should read? About some of your studies." First of all, people really like that. And second of all, you can learn a lot about the type of work that they're doing. Um, Once you've decided to become a member of the lab, there's going to be required forms and courses for good reason. So that many of you will need to take an IRB approval or a HIPAA course, again, to make sure that you're in compliance with seeing patients or with participating with data. A lot of the things you do as an undergrad anyway, but definitely working with the School of Medicine with patients and sometimes with animals, there will be additional things that you'll have to do. So your PI will give you a list of things. Most of them are online, fortunately, and just a little bit tedious, important, but giving you the knowledge that you have those skills, and they're really critical to you being able to move forward. So getting them completed in a timely fashion is really key. So taking the initiative, it also shows interest, right, and is enables you to start right away. So, how do you start strong when you come to a lab? So, I mentioned before figuring out about the lab culture, but that really is important when you start on day one, right? So, it really can be different whether you're in the inpatient setting and what that's like seeing patients to being a little bit more laid back, right? So, in the clinical setting, what do we talk about? We'll talk about professionalism, right? And making sure how well you can certainly have a good time and in physician only areas, laugh and joke. And you can do that anyway in front of the patients, but you also have to remember that you're there seeing patients, right? So that clinical exposure may be very different than when you're in a wet lab, where again, you still being professional, but there aren't patients there. So the way that you dress is much more casual, right? In jeans or sweatpants. And the way that you interact with the rest of your lab mates may be a little bit different. So thinking about that. And then the area of focus. So choosing a research topic. Many labs you'll start as kind of contributing to the big picture. At least you do in my lab, where we have these big projects that people are adding to our database and adding to things. But over time, as you start to see kind of what's being studied, oftentimes you'll be put on a project or maybe even get a project of your own. So thinking about what your interest is and learning along the way is really important. Some things to be thoughtful about and that I just want to highlight. So being organized is really important, right? You want to make sure that you have your T's crossed and your I's dotted. You want to make sure that you're being accurate, right? Troubleshooting. So it's good if you don't know how to do something or something isn't going quite right, that you take the initiative and try to fix it yourself to a degree. right? It's okay to ask for help. If something isn't, so, look online, see what you can come up with, talk to some people. But then at some point, you want to make sure that you're asking questions when needed. So I don't want you to, right? You need to kind of that fine line between uh, taking the initiative, which is really important. You don't want to ask every single question. You want to look for it yourself a little bit, but then it's okay to ask and say, listen, I'm having some trouble doing this. Do you think you could point me in the right direction? Be dependable and reliable, like we were saying. You show up when you say you're going to show up, you do the work, and you do 150%, right? We want to make sure that you're empowered to do that, and that you have the tools there. Set appropriate short and long-term goals. Again, so what am I trying to get done this week? What am I trying to learn? What's the expectation of me? And then what's my ultimate long-term goal? Maybe ultimately I'd like to get a paper, right? Not this week, but long term, I'd like to do that. You want to meet often with your PI. So in the same way that oftentimes your PI is a mentor for you, right? But let's say that those things that we talked about for the mentor-mentee relationship are incredibly important with your PI, and you do want to make sure that you are meeting regularly to discuss your progress and the things that you're doing well, the feedback that you get, and what those goals are. Teamwork is really important. So again, the people that you're interacting with every day within the lab, those collaborations are really key and are going to be key throughout your entire career. And then, if I can make one additional statement, it's that data integrity is really paramount, right? So, and that's and it goes back to the troubleshoot, but ask questions when needed. It's a little bit different. Of course, your integrity is important in an assignment, but when you're doing a clinical trial, as an example, or a basic, right, it's not a chem lab where still data integrity very important, but there is an as high, if not higher level of need for data integrity. So we want to make sure, that's what we're trying to preserve, right? Very rigorous science, making sure that things are accurate, reproducible. That is a big deal, right? So above all else, you want to make sure that you're having good practices to make sure that what you're coming up with is really meets that mark. I'm going to